Hi, everyone. This is the Need to Heed podcast with Jake Lynch.
And Fernando Davila.
We are very excited to be coming to you with our first ever episode of Need to Heed. And this episode is going to be very topical to a lot of us. And Fernando's going to explain that to you real quick.
Hey everyone, like Jake said, this is our first podcast. And before I even explain our episode, due to the quarantine, Jake and I are in different places right now, filming this from different locations. So if there are any technical difficulties throughout, just bear with us. Um, our current situation made it difficult to record. However, we're doing the best we can. So without further ado, our episode is called Isolation with the Jubilation, in which we are just going to discuss how really the quarantine has affected us, how we're dealing with it, how our daily routines are changing, how we're pretty much coping with this, and obviously giving you guys suggestions and advice as to how you guys can also cope with the current quarantine and the current circumstances that we are all dealing with. So, Jake.
So, uh, before we want to get into the episode, we also want to introduce ourselves. For those of you that don't know us, which is pretty much all of you, we are very excited to be a part of this Mindful Me organization.
Jake, you're cutting out right now.
Fernando is also a college student, and we do things other
Jake,
than this.
I'm sorry, but you just cut out for like the last 30 seconds that you just said.
Really.
Yeah, just one more time.
Okay. So, what I was going into was the fact that we'd like for you guys to get to know us. And a part of that is going to be the fact that we do things post and pre quarantine. We do have things that I do, such as mock trial, which Fernando and I share. We were teammates in high school, as well as the fact that I like baseball and other things outside of the mindfulness that we are really trying to dive into right now.
Yeah, I also did a lot of activities prior to this quarantine. I was in school, obviously. Um, I was also on the Montreal team, and for a while now, I've been working. But obviously, with the current circumstances, everything is closed. We all have to stay indoors. We all have to stay at home. So our daily routines have been really affected. However, not so much for the negatives, because we are dealing with it in several ways in which we will discuss now, but this is just to help you guys and understand how we can deal with this without really going crazy by staying home so much. But okay, Jake, do you want to start this off or?
Yeah. So, obviously the name of our podcast is the Need to Heed podcast, and for us that's important because heed means to pay careful attention. So for us, paying careful attention from now on will mean being able to dive into every topic that has to do not only with mindfulness but just being able to stay positive and have a good conversation. So right now Fernando is going to go specifically into what we're doing in today's podcast.
Okay, guys. So obviously, from the last, I would say, 2 weeks to a month or so, there has been a lot of change in everyone's daily routines, everyone's daily life, from activities that we typically would do out of the house, having to move into the house now. So honestly, I want to talk about some of the things we have to do and some of the things that we get to do. But honestly, they both come hand in hand, because even the things that we have to do turn out to be things that we get to do, because a lot of people, especially during these times, don't get to do a lot of the have tos. So it's affecting them a lot. So for students and kids our age, Jake and I's age, have obviously moved from typical in class learning from school to in home and online learning. And that's something we have to do. We have to go online every single day and do what we would regularly do on a school campus from home. But if you think about it, it's really something that we get to do, because there's a lot of places and situations specifically that they don't get to, because of this isolation, because of this quarantine. They don't get to go to school, so they're just missing out. So it's not really a have to, but it's a get to. We get to go to school every day. We get to learn still. We get to enjoy our education, obviously in a different way, but we still are doing it. We're still moving on with it, and we're still going to accustom ourselves to doing it from home. A lot of people, their jobs or their companies have closed, so they can't work at all, while other people are working from home. And yeah, that's a have to. They have to work from home, but they also get to. Some people are lucky enough to have jobs that are still accessible from home, while others are not. So if you think about it, everything is a get to. Daily routines that people do, exercising, going to the gym. These are all things that you get to do from home now. You get to exercise from your house, do home workouts, stuff like that, which all in hand helps the mind, obviously. Going to school, that's self-explanatory. It's building your knowledge. It helps you in everyday life. Working from home, obviously your mind has to stay moving. You have to stay working. The stress from not working is always there. So if you do get to work from home, it's honestly a privilege at these times. So please enjoy that. And obviously, doing these things can become stressful, can become a hassle to you because you're not used to it, obviously. You're not used to being indoors and at home 24/7 or a majority of the day and just leaving for the key essential things. So while you're doing school from home, while you're working from home, while you're exercising from home, at some point you need a break. You need to get your mind off of the things. You need to get out of this stressful situations that you might be going through, just getting used to the new daily routines. And there's many ways to do this. There's many ways that we already used to do when we were home before quarantine. And these are the fun and hobbies that we get to do. For example, watching Netflix, watching movies, binge watching the episodes. That's obviously a lot that's happening right now. We're all watching movies. We're all on Netflix. We're all enjoying our time, obviously, when we're free from school and from work. We have board games to do. We can do puzzles. Um, we can read if that's what you enjoy doing. But obviously, these things that we would typically do on a weekend or whenever we had a small break at home get very repetitive and could even become boring to some people because obviously these things are good to do for a weekend. But now that we're home for the week, home for the month almost, we can't just keep doing the same things because we're going to get bored of them. So Jake is going to take some time now and talk to us about other things that we get to do that revolve more about around our mindfulness and our well-being and staying healthy while being at home. Because even if we can't go out and have to stay home, there's still ways to keep our minds busy, to stay healthy, to stay active. So, Jake,
So yeah, to go back on what Fernando touched on, some of these things that we've been finding ourselves doing, the go tos like Netflix and streaming services, we we can dive so deep into those things that we kind of forget uh, that there are other things to do. You know, not only are there the have tos that we can and will turn into can dos, but not only can we focus on those things, but when it comes to our mindfulness, in reality, things that you do during this entire quarantine that are healthy, not only physically but mentally, are ways to practice your mindfulness. You don't have to practice things specifically considered mindfulness like meditation or yoga, but it's highly recommended. You know, you have yoga, which relaxes the nervous system and releases your stress, also gives you a physical activity to do, which is hard to find. Not everybody has a yard, or if people are living in apartments, stuff like that. Yoga is an easier physical activity to do in a confined space. Same thing with a meditation.
Jake,
And I mentioned,
Jake.
yes.
Yeah, right after you said confined space and meditation, just like a meditation, you cut off for a bit. So just, I'm not sure if it was for the recording as well. Just for me though, I didn't hear it. So just go back to where you started talking about meditation.
Okay. So yeah, what I was saying was that meditating gives the body a relaxation state of mind. You know, you have the ability to decrease your metabolism, you lower your blood pressure, you improve your heart rate, breathing, and everything else that you could be doing. Um, and in reality, our website, Mindful Me, offers things in abundance right now that we're working on and getting out all of that content for podcasts, meditations. I just did a meditation that I really enjoyed making on bridges, and it's just about finding things to do. We offer those meditations. Obviously, we offer the podcast that we're all working on. We have Dan and Tom working on their new meditation, sorry, their podcast that they're going to start calling Mind Watch, which I think is very cool. Sounds like a superhero. And then, as well as Jonathan and Alexa are going to be getting podcasts to you guys as well. So we're all working on getting out things for people to do and keeping up a bright sense about these things. So I also did some research on just fun ideas that you can do at home. I used a few different lists. Some of my favorites were the fact that you could learn a new language right now. I come from a household of many different languages, and unfortunately, I'm not fluent in Spanish like I think I should be. So this is a perfect time to start learning a different language. There's plenty of apps like Duolingo, and as well as one of my other favorites was look at pictures of puppies. I think this is a great opportunity if you don't have your own puppies at home to have a nice little day where you get to dissolve into cuteness, and this gives us a great opportunity to do stuff like rearrange rooms, rearrange your living room, stuff like that. But you can find more of that stuff in the links below. You'll find a USA Today link, which has a bunch of unique ideas of stuff to do, just like the puppies and the learn a new language. Also, Business Insider has a nice list, and Time Magazine also has an entire, excuse me,
Bless you.
um, has an entire list of classic movies and TV shows that you can find on the streaming services and everywhere else. So that's a very cool place to go and just find unique ideas of what we can be doing these days. But another important thing to remember going and when you're doing these things is you don't have to do everything alone.
Of course. Now, before we do move on to the whole social distancing and still staying in contact with everyone, your loved ones, your friends, and all that, I want to just backtrack a little bit to what Jake was just talking about and everything that we offer for through Mindful Me and our website of mindfulme.org and our YouTube channel and all that. We obviously have a lot of the mindfulness techniques like yoga, meditations, but there's going to be a lot more. Obviously, with the whole situation that we have, it's put a small little pause in our future plans, but we're going to still have the aromatherapy. We're still going to have the muscle relaxation. We're obviously going to have our summits, hopefully, sometime in the very near future once all of this is over.
Very
And
excited.
even Jake, I think you're with me on this. Up until a couple of years ago, I never wanted to do yoga. I never wanted to do the meditations. I never wanted to listen to podcasts. That's just because I don't know why, but I just never felt like, oh, I thought they were not useful. I didn't think they would work for me. But I always thought these things without ever trying it myself. It was just from third parties telling me this and like, oh, it's not working. Oh, it doesn't work. But once I actually did try it with Dan a couple of years ago, it really does work. So even if you do think that it's not gonna, just give it a try. Now more than ever, we have nothing but time. We're not busy doing everything. So try new things, try these things out because you
Yeah,
never know.
do it.
It could work and it could become something and a big part of you, like it did for me. Like 4 years ago, I would not see myself being part of this company, being part of this organization, and recording a podcast with Jake right now, especially about something
Yeah.
like this. But now something I look forward to doing every week with you guys. So honestly, even if you don't if you are not interested as much as you think you should be or you could be, just try it out. Now is a perfect time to try new things, like Jake was saying. There's so many things to do out there, and we have so much time in our hands. So, Jake, I don't know if you agree with that. Obviously, what do you think?
Completely agree. For me, mindfulness was always kind of a scary thing
Yes,
because there's so much stigma about everything having to do with mental health and uh, being able to better yourself. But what I've learned from the experiences with this company is that you can go at your own pace. Very much so. You don't have to jump into anything.
of
And you
course.
definitely have to you don't have to fit this cookie cutter mold of mindfulness. You don't have to do yoga. You don't have to do the meditations. You could just listen to the podcast or you could just do the meditations. It's just about what you feel most comfortable doing and just having faith in yourself and what you
Yeah.
like.
And mindfulness as a whole is a very broad aspect that can be looked at in so many different ways. So, what's mindful for me is different for Jake, and it's going to be different for you and for everyone watching or listening in right now. So, the ways you can do these things and interpret these things is completely up to you as long as it helps you in any way, shape, or form, then it's working. Now, Jake, I'm going to talk about the social distancing and everything specifically with the quarantine and the current state that we're in. So, we're going to talk about really what social distancing does and does not mean. Social distancing does mean that you can't go and hang out with all your friends and have a party or go
It's
out to
not.
the mall and stuff like that, obviously. But it does not mean to isolate yourself, to not have contact with these people, to not talk to them through the phone, through Skype, through FaceTime. Today there's so many apps and ways of communicating with people that obviously in person you can't do too much, but Jake and I have been talking almost every day since the quarantine started, right?
That's
So
right.
through FaceTime, through different apps where us and our friends can all FaceTime together, you should always keep in touch with your friends, find ways to communicate with them, with your family, obviously, more than ever. I'm assuming you guys, Jade, I know he's close with his family right now. Everyone's in their house. So take this time and look at the bright side of it. Enjoy the time with your family and try to stay close with your friends no matter how hard it can be right now, because that's hope this is going to be a temporary thing and everything's going to be back to normal soon. But don't lose any friendships, don't lose any relationships that you have right now with other ones, with everyone else. Also, enjoy the outdoors as much as you can. Obviously, we have to stay inside for the majority. We can't just go out to the mall. We can't just, you know, go to where we would like to go, the beach, for example, stuff like that, because everything's closed. But you can still go outside. You can still walk around your neighborhood, obviously safely, not with a group of friends and stuff. You can, even if it's just opening a window and reading a book in a balcony or just taking a quick walk around the block, enjoy the fresh air, get out, because honestly, it can be difficult to stay inside all day, every day. Jake, you're with me. You have a lot of family and stuff like that.
Yes.
It
Very
gets hectic after a while. Everyone is feeling the same thing. Everyone is feeling trapped inside. So get outside, talk to your friends, and enjoy the outdoors. And if anyone is feeling alone, if anyone is feeling isolated, like they have no one to talk to, they have no one to help or listen to them, trust me, there are many resources out there that can listen, that will listen to you and help you through whatever it is you're dealing with. If it's
a
that
lot
you
of
don't
which
have,
will be leaving
what
in
was
the
that?
a lot of this will be leaving in the description below the video, actually.
Yes. We will be leaving the links to different hotlines, the different websites that you can use to talk to people, to get help. Obviously, even mindfulme.org, there's a suggestions webpage, there's our email. Anyone that's needs anything can always email us. We will definitely reply to you as soon as we can. We will definitely
Yep.
have podcasts and meditations revolving around your ideas. So if you have an idea for something, or if you need help with something and think other people also might need that same help or the same advice, please just let us know. Leave a comment about it or sign up for our mail or literally
Newsletter.
just send in your suggestions, because Jade and I will open them. Dan will open them. Everyone in our organization is gonna be there for you. We all will. We're all dealing with the same things. We're all in this quarantine together. So obviously, come out, reach out to us. Let us help you.
Of course. So before we end things, we just we really want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you for getting through this. Obviously, it's not as smooth as it could be, considering the fact that we're online. But eventually, this will be better and better and better as we go on this journey together. We're hoping to be able to drop these podcasts every Wednesday or close to every Wednesday. We're still working out the scheduling with the other podcast shows that we have on our website. But before we leave you, uh, we wanna do this thing at the end of each session or episode where we get to mention something to you that we're doing and then try to get as much responses from you guys back. So today's topic has to do with what we've been doing in the quarantine that's been surprising us. So my thing has been that I have been finding myself in the kitchen a lot, doing extended amounts of cooking. I've done a lot of quesadilla making. I've done a lot of stir fry making. I made an entire bowl of an entire batch of lo mein the other day, which
Whoa.
I never thought was in my culinary aptitude.
If we weren't in this quarantine, I would have definitely been there eating that with Jade.
Of course, it was delicious, actually.
So I also have been in the kitchen somewhat, but besides that, I've been what I typically don't do, which is the watching Netflix and stuff. I typically don't have a lot of time to watch Netflix and catch up on shows. I've been doing that a lot lately now that I'm not working because the only free time I usually have, I try to use for mindfulness. I try to do meditations, I try to do yoga, stuff like that. So I don't have too much time to just sit back and watch some TV. So I've been doing that a lot. It's been good, but missing the gym.
Of course.
But also, before we leave, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Hold on, I just lost it. Completely forgot. But someone from, oh yeah, even if it's not Jade and I, there will be a podcast no matter what weekly. Not sure of the day yet, but someone from our group will be dropping podcasts weekly. So stay tuned for that.
Yes,
Please share
definitely.
with your friends our podcast, our website. Share with your friends, share with your family. Everyone has time right now. They need things to do. This is a perfect idea. Give them advice, give them suggestions. So please share.
Yes. So remember the need to heed weekly with Jake and Fernando.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.